Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's get started.
I have thought a lot in the last 24 hours.
time to get your weekly sports fix.
By the skin of their teeth, they lost.
Then you can just ride it the whole thing.
With Stix.
Sweet. We are live, ready to go. And we got a special guest, the original R.W, I like to call Rich Warnick. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. My anonymous big homie co-host is being anonymous, just like his namesake, along with all the other PUPs and Essential and all the other names that he goes by. He's got a happy wife, happy life. So the wife has him out and about today, last minute. So it's just gonna be you and I, but that's all good, brother.
Yeah,
so
let's do it.
Thanks for coming on, man. What's going down?
Yeah,
What's
man.
going on with you? How's life going?
Man, life's going good. It's interesting living in Denver and being a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, I bet, bro. I'd love to hear the insight. Like homie, a reference to, we were talking on last episode, we were talking about the NFC West. We were talking about trying to get you on and getting the insight from an actual Seahawks fan being in Colorado. So, how long you been down there now?
Well, we originally moved down here in 2010, and it's crazy because I told my wife, I said, hey, what are the odds? I mean, it's Seattle. I mean, old rivals, but there's no way they're going to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, let's face it, as a Seahawks fan, you grow up and it's like, yeah, we like it. It's fun. We love our team. And then you always got like another team that you like, right? Growing up, I was like, I love Seattle, but then it's like, well, I guess I like the Cowboys because they win. Right.
Uh-oh.
So being down here, it was like, hey, no big deal. We'll make a bunch of friends. It is what it is. And then all of a sudden one day we're looking at each other going, wow, it's Blue Friday before the Super Bowl. And of course, in Denver, it's Orange Crush, right? My kids are freaking out. They're like, Dad, this is going to be embarrassing. Like, I don't want to lose. I'm like, man, I go, all as I can tell you is this: Denver has not played a top 10 defense all year. And lo and behold, we know what kind of happened. And most of the friends we had disappeared into the bushes. And,
during the Super Bowl,
it is what it, yeah. I mean, it was kind of awkward, didn't even know what to say, but we were excited. It was fun. It was fun to be here. And the fans in Denver are pretty respectful. So a lot of other fans that you see, been to a lot of games up at the Clank, and you see Green Bay fans or Steelers. Sometimes you get a lot of Raiders.
Right?
But yeah, Raiders. Yeah, but at the end of the day, Denver's got some great fans. I mean, they're good people. So
yeah, one of my buddies that's usually on the podcast too has been on here before, Aaron Jones. He lives in Vegas. He's a Broncos fan, so we like to razz him a little bit after that Super Bowl. Then they came back and got their Super Bowl, but it's been a while, and so he's been shooting me some text messages and always about the Russel Wilson thing. Now that we switch quarterbacks, basically, good friend in Vegas, Aaron Jones. So shout out, buddy. But yeah, I'm interested to find out the the take from the insider, we like to call it the homie investigation team on the ground. So we got another homie investigation team correspondent here with Rich Warnick. So again, the original R.W. So I appreciate you coming on, bro. It's awesome to talk to you again and see you again.
Appreciate it.
And many more opportunities if you ever want to jump back on and shoot the bull, we could do that. So let's get into it real quick. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. Go to thisfunner.com for more podcasts and online content. Grab some merch while you're there. I kind of got this shirt on if y'all can see it right now. Yeah. So you got to grab a shirt or two from Sports Fix with Stix and Nas Big Homie. Follow me on Twitter at Stix015. Use that hashtag Stix and Sports, and we'll follow you back. Hit us up, tag us, whatever you want to do. And then the anonymous Big Homie, obviously at homie_anonymous. He likes to be anonymous every once in a while, so that's how we let him roll. So I just we're gonna get into on today's episode with the original R.W. Rich Warnick. We are going to talk about the much anticipated Broncos at Seahawks Monday night football game, the return of Russel Wilson to Lumen Field. I almost called it CenturyLink there, to Lumen Field. And what's going on, and get the insider information from down in Colorado, as where Rich is at right now. It's like it just referenced, man. It's going to be awesome to hear what the Colorado area is talking about this game. And just to start off right off the bat, the line right now is 6.5 in favor of the Broncos, and it's over or under 44. And I've been jumping back and forth, like, to talk about the game. I mean, we'll get into the game part of it, but just off the top of my head, I'm just like, everybody, including myself, I think I even mentioned this on our NFC preview that the homie and I did. I'm like, they're going to be terrible. No chance in hell. And then I was looking and I was trying to read some stuff and read up on it. And then, the Seahawks are 11-1 in home games under Pete and John, right? And they're wearing their full action green, and they're 7-1 in the green and 4-1 in the all greens that they're wearing on Monday Night Football this week. And, and we all know as Seahawks fans, somehow Pete Carroll decides to somehow always ends up keeping the games close. Was it last year or 2 years ago where they every loss was by like less than a score? So less than 6. I think most of them were like less than 3. So they somehow always try to keep it close. So before I start rambling on and we just get into this discussion, what are your thoughts on Monday night, Rich? Like, do you think that it's going to be close? I mean, I'm attempting not to be a biased Homer fan like I have been recently, because now we're talking about all this. We talk about all these games and all this and sports betting and stuff. But what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think about this? I want to get a different insider perspective.
Well, so I went to training camp and I wore this jersey, right? I got
love it, by the way.
Lynch Super Bowl jersey, right?
Yep.
I got a lot of looks, and it was crazy because I looked over and they had like the local news there, and there was a guy wearing a Pearl Jam shirt, and I was like, I got to go talk to him.
Yeah.
So I went and talked to him, and he used to work for like, I think King 5 or something like that TV up in Seattle. And he had when Russell Wilson came down here, there happened to be a position open. So his story is he came down here because Russell Wilson did, right? But he and I kind of sat back and talked about things, and I think one of the things that's interesting to me, and this is just my opinion, I don't know how much factor is to it, but I kind of saw, he won the Walter Payton Award, and he used to do a lot of service and things like that, and it could have been COVID or something like that, but the big thing when he got down here is the first thing he did is went to Children's Hospital, right? And so you kind of get the feel like those are the things that kind of made him great. Those are the things that kept him grounded. And then we went down to the field, and I'm a huge sports fan, altogether. And so they had some old Broncos players, Eric Decker and a few other, and we've got some that live in our neighborhood. In fact, Shelby Harris just lives a few doors down, and he was part of that Russell Wilson trade. And I'll share a little bit, kind of just a few things that he talked about, but the excitement is there. And, Drew Lock is interesting because Drew Lock said, the one thing he liked about Seattle's, training camp was they played music, and that they didn't do that in Denver. And I thought that was odd because I went to Denver. They had speakers a mile high, and they were booming music the whole time. And when Russell Wilson came out, he had that look on his face. And I was like, oh, man.
You've seen that before.
Oh, man. And so I got down in the front row. I'm the only dude wearing blue, right?
Uh-huh.
So he comes down, he starts signing 5. He eyed in right on me, and I high-fived him, and he was like, much respect. And so he still loves Seattle, right? He can't not love Seattle because they picked him up. I mean, there was, for crying out loud, there's a punter that was picked up before him. Right. But here's the reality of it. The reality of it is I think that there's been kind of a decline with them. And although there's all this hype and there's excitement, and I know that he's got a point to prove, and most as a fan, I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do. Are they going to let him cook and let him sit in the pocket for 10 seconds like Seattle was doing and he's getting sacked all the time? Or is he actually going to roll out, try to make a pass and try to make a play? In training camp, I couldn't really tell.
Right.
Like Russell Wilson, right? And when you look at his stats, you go, man, he's a great quarterback, QBR, all these yards, all these touchdowns. But the success in Seattle just tapered off after the Super Bowl. So I don't know if it's fake in the sense that, he's like, hey, Colorado, Denver Broncos fans, let's go, let's ride. He has his big thing, let's ride, and it almost makes me want to vomit a little bit.
Yeah, right. It's not the go Hawks, it's the let's ride. And it's not even like a let's ride, like excited about it. It's like a let's ride. Like what are you trying to do right here? And how are you trying to talk to me right now? But yeah, it's interesting to find out. I mean, and I think, and I want to know what your take on, and I wanted to do a little more research, but I figured since you were coming on, I wondered if you would know an insight on Drew Lock, because I know Teddy Bridgewater was there last year, obviously, and then my boy Aaron Jones in Vegas is who was like, hey, Lock was not good. In my opinion, I have a little story about Drew Lock too, real quick.
Let's hear it.
So I was working in the shop in Bellevue before I moved back to the Tri-Cities. And I remember I can't remember what horse race was on TV, but we had a TV in there watching. I had the horse race on. I was watching the horse racing, and Drew Lock came in before a Mariners game, and he was getting a Mariners jersey, and my boy helped him, and then he gets up to the counter, and like I was gonna help him, and then like my boy recognized him, but I didn't recognize him, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was sitting there watching. He was getting rung up, and we weren't busy, so I was like watching the race, and then he stops for a second, and he's like, "Oh, it's a favorite," and I was like, "Yeah, watch, this horse is supposed to be, rolling through," and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he sat there and watched the race with me for a second, and he's like, "Oh, that was pretty sweet," he's like, he was pretty cool dude, like he was cool. He treated my boy good too, but I didn't recognize him, right? So I wonder, like, I wanted to know, I thought since he's younger, has a pretty good arm, and if Pete's offense is hand the ball off and then make those throws, I figured that Drew Lock would be the potential number one. And I know during the preseason, I didn't get to watch most of the games, but I did see a couple highlights and a couple of them. But he did turn the ball over a little bit. I know he had a couple fumbled snaps, but that's kind of goes with, when you're playing with the second and third teams, right? In my opinion. But I wonder what have you heard anything down there in the last couple of years, why he was there about Drew Lock and any potential that he could have had? Because then he lost the job to Teddy Bridgewater last year. We all know how that ended up anyways. Not good for the Broncos as well.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because they said they had this they had these shirts they were selling, and it was Steady Teddy, right? Everybody was, you try to hype your guy, it's part of marketing. I mean, I appreciate it, but I think Drew Lock, I think he went like 5-1. and they pulled him. I don't know the story behind it. I could never find out why they pulled him. I do know that Pete Carroll really liked him when Drew Lock was in college. And I know that at one point they were looking at maybe trying to pick him in the draft. So there's something about him that Pete Carroll likes. And I trust Pete Carroll as far as his coaching ability. But as far as down here in Denver, to be honest, I have no idea why they stopped.
Stop trusting
him.
Yeah.
I don't, and the other thing I don't get what they did in Denver is, they got rid of Tebow. And I think, you look at when we were here, Tebow and the kneeling and everything, whatever. But on the other hand, every single time that dude stepped on the field, everybody else's stats increased by like 32%, right? Maybe he wasn't the best, but he really improved upon the team. So he was a good motivator. So with Drew Lock, I don't know. And as I started kind of digging into details when they sent him over there, I was like, oh, wow, he won like 5 games. And then that's kind of where the story ends. So, and he's kind of cold, right? He's nervous. He's cold. He wants a new start. He was pretty good, football player in college, great QB.
Uh-huh.
But you got Geno, right? Geno's been with the program. Geno's got some pretty good wheels. He's fairly good in college, had quite a few touchdowns to interception ratio. I think he can do, pretty good. The big thing for me, I think that's going to be the key is that when we saw success in Seattle, it was 100% to do with the running game.
Right. 100%. Yep.
We cycled through guys, Collins, Rashad Penny, and a lot of these guys. And when you look at spring training, DJ Dallas, he's like a mini Lynch. I mean, he was busting through. I mean, he was playing really, really well. So if we can get that run game going, it's only going to benefit our quarterback, whoever that is.
Right. And I just read up something today that Kenny Walker was looked really good in practice today or yesterday. I can't remember what day it was, but he did look good. I don't know what that means for Monday. I know he's still questionable for Monday, but I really liked Walker at Michigan State. I mean, he is a beast and he is definitely a good running back. And I think with him and Rashad Penny, as long as Rashad could hold up healthy, I mean, he led the league in running backs in rushing yards, average yards per rush when he came back last year for those 5-6 games or whatever it was. So, I mean, that's not a bad tandem to have, especially if you have a healthy Kenny Walker, had that surgery early in the preseason, which is good.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I think that's a big, like you said, Pete's game plan. They want to rush the ball. I pulled up some numbers from last year. The Seahawks offense had 122 yards rushing a game. So, and I want to say that was like top 10, if I remember correctly. Should have wrote that down, but it's 100% Pete's game plan. I think that's part of the reason why he's going with Geno. It's just, man,
he's more mobile. He
is more mobile.
He's more mobile. I think he's quicker than Drew Lock. I think he's kind of like an in between. Russell Wilson and Drew Lock. I think it's not going to be a huge change for the offense. He's got, from what I hear, he's got a great attitude, works well with the guys. A little taller, right? Yeah. Can see down the field. That was a struggle Seattle's had. Declining from the Super Bowl. If you look back, even last year, in the first 8 games, I think, what was it? They were. How many first downs do you think they had in the first 8 games last year?
First 8 games last year?
First 8 games. How many times do you get a first down?
First down, let's say, my quick Benton City math here. Let's go for 19.
Oh, dude, you were close. 9.
Oh, geez.
They averaged about 1.2 first downs per game.
Whoa.
Right?
Rough.
What do you got to do to get a first down, right? Usually you got to get a running back, then get 3 or 4 yards, and you have to have short passes. Yeah. When you look at Russell Wilson's overall stats last year, he did good. But when you start breaking it down to what passes he had, he wasn't making short 5 or 6 yard passes. It was either he was getting sacked or it was, a misplaced ball, or he was launching it 9 million yards down the field, tire rocket, in the smallest square inch of the field to have some kind of StatCast, highlight reel. So it was interesting, and it wasn't only that, but the first 9 games of the season, they only rushed for 118 yards.
First 9 games of the season.
First 9 games of the season last year, and this is according to NFL.com. Now
that's crazy.
When you look at the rest of the season,
that.
Yeah, you look at the rest of the season, they picked up, right? They started running the ball quite a bit, and they started getting the ball down the field. But the first 9 games were brutal, you know. So yeah, I mean, and last year, I mean, his QBR was 42.2, which was 11 points negative from the year previous. So something had to change. You look at the dollars and cents, you know, and I was listening to ESPN radio this morning. They were talking about how it's just come out that in 2018, Seattle wanted to trade Russell Wilson to the Browns for their first round draft pick.
Yeah.
And they were going to pick up Josh Allen. Right.
Oh man, I didn't hear the Josh Allen part though.
So that was their goal. And then the next year, well, and think about it, you know, the first round pick, you're paying $35 million.
Yeah.
For 3 to 4 years, right? You're paying Russell Wilson $35 million a year.
At that time, yeah.
So it's a balancing act. So if you're paying your quarterback a ton of money, you don't have money for your line. You don't have your money for the Legion of Boom. You got to you have to make decisions. Sorry, you know, we got to let you go. Sorry, we have to let you go. We have to pay Russ, right? And so that's your commitment to him, because he did a lot for Seattle. But you look at the Patriots, and the Patriots, you know, Tom Brady's like, oh, we need more linemen. Okay, I'll take a pay cut.
Right. He knows what his body's worth at that age, or at that time, right?
He's going to be 75 years old, right? He's going to get inducted to the Hall of Fame 25 years after he dies. It's just going to be ridiculous.
Because he's still going. Yep.
And that's what Russ doesn't do. In 2019, they wanted to trade Russ to the Cardinals. They talked to them about it, and they were going to pick up Kyler Murray. So you look at it and you go, it's business, right? It's 100% business. $35 million a year for one guy, or $35 million for 3 to 4 years, and you can start picking up guys to help support that. What did Seattle do with their draft picks? They went out and picked up a bunch of linemen.
Yeah, they did. They got 2 rookies, I believe, that are going to start this on Monday. Yeah. And I have a couple things that it's funny you brought up the first down thing, because there's an ongoing text message and group chat that every time, and friends that I've been friends with for a while, every time, I can guarantee you that it's a 0% chance that the Seahawks get a first down on the opening drive when they get the ball. 0% chance. So I know that there's 0 first downs coming from that. So I like to always reference that, because we're always like, oh, 3 and out, weird on our first drive, right? Always happens.
It didn't used to be like that. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be, you know, drive down, score touchdown, you know,
on the first drive, right? Yeah.
Right.
And again, and to touch on your Russell Wilson salary as well, like, I know, 100%, like a part of it is I know we've discussed this on the Sports Fix with Stix and I've been homie before, but you know, they weren't going to pay him $45 million like he just got from Denver. So, you know, you had to get something out of him. And then, like you referenced as well, is like, where are you going to put that money? They did pay DK. I know it's backloaded on DK's salary, but DK got what he wanted, and you know, we'll see what happens. And then I don't know if you saw any college football today, because I know you're out and about running around with the kids and doing
Alabama, Texas. That was a great game. That
was crazy. I mean, that's homie said it yesterday or the other day, was like, he says, if you're a Seahawks fan and you want Bryce Young, you want the Seahawks to tank to get Bryce Young, and Bryce Young was the man today. So they can find a way to get up in the draft, no matter where they finish, to get up there and get a quarterback. That'd be one to grab. But you know, it's interesting to find. It's like I said, I believe that Drew Lock was going to be the starter. I believe that Geno went 1-3 last year as a starter. I know he lost that overtime game to Pittsburgh. I believe it's Pittsburgh that they lost that overtime game too.
Yeah.
But you know, and to go back to every Seahawks fan's point of what Pete Carroll's philosophy is on offense, you know, Geno was, in the 4 games that he started, he was 10 for 17, 23 for 32, 12 for 22, and 20 for 24. So you're not going to have him throw the ball that much. And then again, I believe, wasn't that like week 4, 5, 6, 7-ish? So like you were saying, the running game didn't help benefit Geno at all in those games that he did start.
Yeah.
They only rushed for less than 100 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like everything just kind of stopped where nobody knew what they were doing or were struggling. I think maybe there was some things that, and Russ is a pretty reserved guy. He doesn't talk a lot about personal things, you look back the kind of Golden Tate and he left and there was rumors about Golden Tate and Russ's wife and it was a divorce and the whole thing. You just don't know. You don't know anything that happens. So you're really not going to hear anything. And he's not really a trash talker. He's kind of like that nerdy kid that really didn't make the football team, but he's really talented and good. Mm-hmm. But he's kind of nerdy and it's hard not to like him. He's not like an arrogant, cocky Aaron Rodgers or, anything else.
And he's not like vocal about being out there in the public. He'll be out there in the public and cameras will get him because he's Russell Wilson and Sierra, right? So they're always going to be a camera out there looking for a snippet, but he's not like, hey, look at me. But his bravado is, look at me when he's on camera, if that makes sense. His voice isn't going to project it. Yeah. But the way he carries himself, walking in, how he's dressed, how he flaunts himself is gonna
wearing his own jersey.
Look at me. That was so funny. That was wild.
It's crazy because they had like a big video of him coming out of his house. He bought a house here fairly close down in Cherry Creek and kind of down in that area over where Peyton Manning lives. And he walks out in a complete white suit. He's got his Rolls Royce Phantom, door open, suicide doors. And he's like, Denver, let's ride. CR is there and he gets in his Rolls Royce. I'm like, okay, Russ, we get it. You got a lot of money. But here's the thing that kind of bothers me a little bit about him is that he's acting like he's Brady and he's not there yet. Right. If you look at Brady's kind of like, he got to a point where he's like, look, Belichick, you think you're all that? I think I'm just as good without you. Right. But he didn't do it after he just like won one Super Bowl and lost one. He did it after years of being like,
and everybody thought he was going to be pretty much done. And then he's still,
at the end of retirement, like 18 years. And now he had a point to prove. But now you got this clash of the Titans, right? You got Pete Carroll over here trying to get the 12s riled up to boo Russell Wilson. Right. And then you got Russell Wilson over here going, well, the whole reason why I left Seattle is because I didn't get protection. And who's going to win it out? Like we can sit here and talk all day long about, whether or not he had protection or not, or whether or not he decided to move his feet. I mean, he's probably the quarterback. I mean, I don't think they have a stat, but I never really saw him take 3 steps back after the snap. And he's too short to not take 3 or 4 steps back. Right. Uh-huh. Brady even takes 3 steps back. You take 2 steps back, that pocket's going to collapse right on you. And we saw that happen a lot, and it's hard to escape. He's got to get back out a little bit further. And interestingly enough, I saw him doing 4 or 5 step drills at the Broncos training camp. So maybe that's something they
getting back a little bit more.
Film. Yeah, get back into it a little bit more. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I think Denver thinks they're better than they actually really are, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and excuse me. I think their defense kept them in. Well, they only had 6 wins last year, 7 wins last year, but their defense kept them in, somewhat of the game last year when their defense was, only gave up 18 points per game. That was the 3rd best in the NFL last year for Denver. So, I mean, he's going to a defensive team, kind of like what he had with the Legion of Boom. I'm not comparing for all you Seahawks fans out there. I'm not comparing the defense of Denver to the Legion of Boom by no chance at all. But at least he has a defense out there, supposedly, if they're anywhere close to what they were, or what they were last year. But it's going to be interesting to find out. I mean, didn't he lose?
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I mean, he still has Judy, who's young, and he has Sutton.
Yep.
Which Sutton's good too. Seems like Judy had some route issues, but maybe that was just with the different Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. But I think they lost that Hamlin guy, or I forgot his name, Hamlin, I think. Another receiver out there. But again, I mean, with the running backs that Denver has, similar to the Seahawks running game, with Melvin Gordon, who's been around there forever, signed to stay there. And then Javonte Williams, who came up last year. He's pretty solid.
He's gigantic. When I saw him, they did running back drills right in front of us. I was like, man, that guy's got thighs about as big as round as I am. The guy is
beast,
just,
huh?
He is scary. I mean, he is.
He had a good year last year. So
he did. He did. I mean,
and that was with sharing the load a little bit. Now with what was this? Oh frick, I knew his name. Wasn't his that one rookie, undrafted rookie there last year, who's not there anymore? Frick, can't remember his name. I had him on the top of my head, but now it's
We'll say Chris Farley. That's who it was.
Chris Farley. Might as well have been. But yeah, so it's gonna. I mean, I think Russ is gonna be just fine in Denver. I don't know. I can't remember what I said on our AFC picks of over under and how many wins they had, now that I think about it, but because we just did that podcast the other day. But I think it's on Monday night, and I like how you referenced Pete saying, hey, let's boo him kind of thing. So I wonder what, for all the 12s out there, are the 12s gonna boo Russ? And is it actually mean that they're bitter? Does it mean they're jealous? Does it mean they're just rooting for their team? Because I mean, any quarterback that comes into Lumen Field, you're going to get booed. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, all that, because they're rooting for their team. I don't necessarily think, in my opinion, they can do whatever they want. Anybody who's there pays a ticket. They can do whatever they want. In my opinion, and I've been back and forth in this, but you got to boo him because you want to get him riled up. You want to get him in his head, right? I don't know if you can get in Russ's head like that. You want to give him a little nervous. He's going to already be there. He's been there for, 10 years. He was there walking on the field, people cheering him. Now he's going to be like, let's press him a little bit. Let's get him a little riled up if you're there at the game, and see how he performs under this pressure while being on another team in his old house, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I kind of went back and forth when I was thinking about this today. I think really at the end of the day, the best thing the 12s could do, if anybody out there hears this, is I think everybody should stand up and give, 3 claps, everybody in unison, say, thank you, Russ, give a pause, and then boo the living daylights out of him after that.
I like it.
Right?
I like it.
So give him the respect that he needs. He brought something to Seattle that's not been there since 1976, right? I mean, we've been to the Super Bowl before against the Steelers. That was kind of an interesting Super Bowl. I won't get into, my thoughts on how lopsided it was, penalty and yards and passes and efficiency, and just the score didn't look right. But at the end of the day, look, he brought a Super Bowl there. He brought excitement. He filled up the stadium, and he created a whole new generation of Seahawks fans that hadn't been there before, albeit the new ones are annoying, right? Because they act like, all as they know is winning, right?
Right.
And so they have all this, and I'm like, dude, relax. It doesn't last forever, right?
No.
Like, don't be so rude about it, So I give him a 3 clap. Thank you, Russ. Pause, and then just boo and give him a warm welcome back to Seattle after we've appreciated him, and that's it.
And he knows how loud they get there when the Seahawks are on defense. So he knows how loud it's going to be. And I agree. Like, I think I like that scenario. give them the 3 claps, cheer for them in the introductions, maybe if they introduce them or whatever, however that might go down. But as soon as he walks on the field, maybe give him the 3 claps and the cheer. But then as soon as that's done, show him the appreciation. After that, the whole game, light him up, be loud, get in his head, and let that defense do some work. Because that they're out there ready to go get them some of Russ. So
well, he's never been on the field.
Ford.
Yeah, he's never been on the field on offense when it's loud. And that stadium specifically built to focus onto the field. It's completely different. I've heard the noise on the sideline versus what you hear on the field. So
okay.
It'll be interesting. I'm sure they're going to practice a lot doing, no count snaps. They're going to have like little things they can do so they don't jump off. But imagine how fun it's going to be if they get out there and the very first play someone jumps off sides.
Oh yeah.
Crowd's going to go crazy. Or
a
miss snap to Russ and he fumbles it. Because it happens. I mean, remember the 49ers in the playoff game when they went and played into the Super Bowl, going into the Super Bowl. I mean, I think it was like the first snap or second snap. He fumbled the ball and it was a loss of, maybe it was third down. It was a loss of, 8 or 9 yards. They came back and won that game. And that was the Richard Sherman, yelling at
Crabtree.
Yeah.
Crabtree.
That Crabtree.
Yeah.
So he's not perfect, but this, I mean, the 12s do make a difference when it comes to the game. What I hope they don't do is I hope they don't let up. I hope they come with their A game. I hope they scream it loud and proud and just support Seattle. And look, Russ isn't a Seahawk anymore. And, Green Bay did it to Brett Favre when he went to the Vikings. They booed the living daylights out of him when he came back and played at Lambeau. So, it'll be interesting. And Brett Favre did a lot for that organization too, but
right.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah. And I think, it's going to be, I think it's going to be, I believe that what's going to happen is going to be the cheer at the beginning and then game on from there on out. Right. And they're going to be loud. They're probably going to be louder than they've ever been, if that's even possible, to be, be more loud than they've set records, obviously, with the decibels or whatever it's called. Sound. Right. So, this would be the perfect game for them to break it and just be as loud as possible. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. Do you think it's going to be close? Do you think the Seahawks can keep this close? Do you think they're going to win?
I think they're going to. Look, people that know me, I'm a forever optimist, just in life in general, right? And I think that I think one of the things where I think even Seattle struggled with Carroll is that Carroll's not used to having the same group of guys for an extended period of time. 3-4 years, and he's got a fresh group.
Right.
And that's what made him successful, out in California. And so, in my opinion, he kind of didn't know how to coach guys that were making a lot of money and acted like they knew more than he did. And that respect level that was there as far as a coaching staff went away. And then you start having guys making demands like, I don't like this offensive coordinator. I want a different offensive coordinator. And so I think for him, it kind of messed with his mojo. So having a fresh group in, I think they're going to be fired up. I think he's going to talk to them about being the underdogs. I think he's going to use that to his advantage in his speeches to the group. I think he's going to say, we got a point to prove that as an organization, we're better than one man. And he's a coach that doesn't believe in the power of one individual on a football team. Some teams believe that it takes one person to win games. Pete Carroll's like, you're just a cog in a system that makes us win together as a group. And Russ didn't fit that system anymore, So I think they're going to win. I think they're. I think they're probably going to score. I'm thinking about 20, 21 points, and I think Denver might be held back a little bit. I think Russ is going to struggle. Shelby Harris, I was talking a little bit earlier. He lives here in Blackstone, still has his house here, but he was part of that trade. Noah Fant too, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Great looking tight end. Shelby,
he's solid.
He's kind of curious about Seattle and stuff like that. And my son plays football for a 5A school here. Freshman, 6'2", 250, just a beast. But Shelby was really cool talking to him, saying, hey, look, the main thing you need to do when it comes to football is you just got to work hard and have a lot of fun at it. And he was very jovial about it. And I started going back and kind of looking at film of him, and I was like, he's one of the main reasons why Denver was so good last year. The guy was there. He
was part of that defense I talked about earlier.
Yeah,
yep.
Part of that defense. And we picked him up. And then lo and behold, in some of these preseason games, he was everywhere. He was on the quarterback. He was just out of the reach of grabbing the running back. I mean,
I believe he had 5 sacks last year, which for a defensive lineman, not bad.
No. And it was funny because he said, hey, you're on the wrong side of the line, because my son plays on offense. Right. So offensive tackle. So, but yeah, I mean, for being on the line, I mean, he's just, he's very active. So
that's, I mean, and like he said, he was down there, and you were saying something earlier about how, playing music when they get up to Seattle, right? Drew Lock, I think you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Was it Drew Lock?
Yeah.
So,
Drew Lock, yeah.
Shelby Harris coming up from the situation he was there in Denver, coming up now and get that another new look atmosphere. I mean, I think everybody knows, you've heard the sayings of former players and even current players, or former players, I guess, can't really be current players, when they talk about, places they really would have wished they could have, even when they go on visits to Seattle and don't get signed. They're like, oh, really enjoyed the time in Seattle. The practice facility is amazing. The coaches are amazing. Just the fun atmosphere is there, so people like it. And with Shelby Harris, coming from a productive defense in Denver, coming up to Seattle to help out the defense that, we lost Bobby Wagner.
Terrible situation with Bobby
in the linebacker
Wagner,
crew. Right. And we talk about that too. So it's interesting to, see how Shelby does. And one more quick thing on the D line. I wish I knew where that Miles Adams dude came from, because never heard of him until I seen him on a preseason game. That dude was a beast, or is a beast. I'm glad he made the team, even though it was going against second, third teamers, but
sure,
he's a big boy, and he looked like he was having fun out there getting at it too. And that could rotate the defensive line like that. So, we gotta plug those holes. I mean, we struggled quite a bit last year with middle of the field passes, right? Just getting blown coverages right and left. But if we can get, a lot of pressure, and we know that, at least experience with Russ, that he struggled getting those short yard passes. I mean, we know Russ, but Russ also knows us, right? So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a battle of the ages. I think this game would have been more interesting maybe 7 or 8 games out, I think, because both of the teams aren't into their own. Russ isn't really into this system. Right.
Gino hasn't really been playing. You've got a lot of young rookies, but the one thing that I do know is Pete Carroll does really well with new guys coming in. He knows how to get into their head. He knows how to get them psyched out of their mind. He knows how to reward them, get them excited, not let them get frustrated when one play is bad or one tackle's missed. And the team seems to gather around guys when they do well. So I didn't see much of that. I mean, I saw quite a bit of hype going on, during the practices and things like that here in Colorado, but I didn't, I don't know. It just didn't feel the same. It didn't feel the same. I think it felt more orchestrated than to a lot of the practices that I've been in Seattle. Right. So, we'll have to see what happens.
It's going to be exciting. Everybody's going to be tuned in. Obviously we both are, along with, millions of other people on a Monday night football game, right? Looking for that drama and what's going to happen. Man, I can't even, we usually do when Big Homie and I, we do a hometown play of the week, right? So we did the Rams on Thursday night. His team is the Rams. So we did a pick of what he thought would happen on Thursday Night Football. And we would do we can do a hometown play of the week for Monday night. And I've been going back and forth of what I want to say and what I want to do. So, but what that means is you just pick a something that you think is going to happen in the game, whether it's a player, like you kind of referenced to earlier, the score and Russ struggles, right? So it's usually like a player stat or a player line that we really like because we do like prop bets for games. Not that we can do that here in Washington because Washington sucks. They legalize sports gambling, but these idiots can't get an app out there like FanDuel or DraftKings that I've been advocating for a couple of years now, trying to get this. When we started the podcast a couple of years ago, we advocated for this and getting these clowns on Twitter and hitting all these guys up, trying to get that going. They finally legalized sports betting, but you can only be at the casinos that do it, and you can only be on the premises for their own app. But anyway, so that's part of the hometown play of the week is, pick a stat, kind of a prop that you think is going to happen. For example, Thursday night, homie picked, let me see my notes here. Homie picked Cooper Kupp over 100 yards, right? That's a given. That's a given until they prove us otherwise, right? And that happened. So, by the way, Kupp's like 17-3 in his last over 100-yard games or whatever.
He's a Yakima boy. He's a hometown Yakima boy.
Ewu,
so.
Right? Is that what they call him around here?
Yeah.
Ewu?
Yeah.
And Eastern Washington University Eagle there. So, like I said, I've been rambling because I've been trying to decipher in my head of what my hometown play of the week is for me, myself, the Seahawks fan. And I still don't know, but what I'm leaning towards is I think that Russell Wilson, and it's not for my team, but I think the defense is going to get him for 2 picks. I think Russ throws 2 picks.
There you go. So who are you seeing on defense you think that's going to be able to sniff it out?
I think the rookie, Tariq Woolen, is that his name? I think he snags one somehow. And then I think Jamal or Quandre get him. One, I know that doesn't answer your question, but I think Woolen gets one because I think he tries to pick on the rookie. And Woolen's lengthy, right? Isn't he like 6'4" or something? Yeah. And I think Quandre or Jamal somehow have a read on Russ. As long as both of them are healthy or in the game there the whole time, one of them's got to get Russ. One of them's got to get Russ just because it's Russ and then that defense, right? And they're the captains of this defense, right? Jamal and Quandre. So I'm going to go out there, and now I like that. I like you put me on the spot there. I like it. I'm going with Woolen. We'll get one. So that's one. And then I got to pick.
You going with Quandre?
Let's go with Quandre.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's go with Quandre.
I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, I'm writing it down too. I had to write it down. Wilson, 2 picks. That's a hometown play of the week for y'all out there, baby.
That's a Tri-City Dust Devil pick right there.
Tri-City Dust Devils. By the way, I love that stadium. I've only been there once, but I went there.
Yeah,
awesome.
We built a house there behind it and used to go to those games all the time, watch him play third base. I, of course, didn't know who he was at the time, but you buy those team baseball card sets all the time.
Yeah,
got a couple of sets with his cards in there, kind of cool.
With Russ, they have a big old what do you call those things? Bobblehead, not bobblehead, but mini statue bobblehead type thing out there of Russ right now.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. I saw that when I was there. Do you have a hometown play of the week, Rich?
Yeah, I do. I think DJ Dallas is going to go for over 100 yards.
There we go. That's what I like to hear.
I think he's an average about 4.3 yards a carry.
Over 100 yards, 4.3 average. Nice. So that means he's going to have to get, that means you think, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, you think this is without Kenny Walker playing on Monday, right? If Kenny Walker plays, does that change it a little bit for you?
I mean, it would. I mean, I'm just making the assumption that he's in there full time without Kenny Walker.
Okay. Right. That makes sense.
I've been impressed. You know, he didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but he's putting his head down. You know, I've been reading a little bit on him and a lot of his workouts. I mean, he's just been the lower body workouts, lower back, hand drills, keeping a hold of the ball. And he's got like kind of a Barry Sanders kind of low run to him, but he's got like a Marshawn Lynch stomp, like, I don't care. Get out of my way, So I was impressed. I mean, I think he's looking to have a breakout year. I think maybe, he's picked up, I think it was in the draft last year. But I think he wants to be the guy. It's kind of cool when you're the running back for Seattle because you've got this kind of pedigree of Beastquake, right? And Sean Alexander and just kind of being known for the running game. Like Seattle hasn't really had a superhero like that in a minute. So I don't know. That's kind of my bold prediction. My hometown pick is DJ Dallas will get 100 yards. Yeah. That now at 4.3 yards average, he's got to have more than 20 carries. So
yeah. And excuse me, and you got Penny there too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they run the ball 40 times, right? And you get 20, and without Kenneth Walker there, you get 20 and 20 at least around there, right? Because then you're probably going to throw the ball about 20 times. So there's about 60 possessions. I think the average is like 65-ish possessions normally. So there's a little bit of leeway. And then DJ Dallas has that breakaway speed and potential to get out and get outside and get broken and break it off a little bit. The only downside to DJ Dallas, and I'd hate to be a hater right now, but he is a Miami Hurricane. Go Noles, by the way. If you can see my blanket behind me, I got a Florida State blanket back here. But
no one's gonna hold that against you.
But no, that's not bad. I like it. I like it a lot. Him and Homer. I do like Homer a lot too.
No, look, Seattle's packed when it comes to running backs. And my predictions just based on what I've seen in preseason. And I think the coaches had seen it too. And the other thing that I'm throwing out there is because now they've got a more powerful line. I think the gaps are going to be a lot wider. I think it's going to be a lot easier. I mean, you're going to get tackled probably 10, 11 yards out in a lot of cases. And so, again, it's really hard to tell in spring training or not in spring training, but, kind of like preseason, it's kind of like, well, we're playing against a secondary, but I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of these teams, the linemen don't get a break. When it comes to preseason, a lot of the first stringers are out there. These big boys need to get in shape, to play football here. So a lot of them don't throw out second string linemen. They'll put out who they're going to put out. But a lot of the secondary guys, a lot of running backs, tight ends, receivers, quarterbacks, they'll kind of filter them in and out. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be good. I mean, this is just basically pure gut feeling, but
yeah, that's what it's all about. You got to throw it out there. You got to be a little wild, get a little wild out there, and
right. Born to be wild.
See what we come up with. Cause throughout the season, and like I said, you're welcome back anytime. We try to do it once a week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes a couple times a week. We'll talk about it. We always try to throw a little fun out there just because that's, we're trying to have a good time, and give the people some different insight because they listen to ESPN and Fox and all these analysts always, on their own little gigs and these scripts. We're off script and we go with what we feel and what we think. So, people will get out there and DJ Dallas over 100 yards as rich is R.W.'s, the original R.W.
RW11.
RW11. There you go. Hometown play of the week. and I picked Russell Wilson 2 picks. Woolen gets 1, and Quandre gets the other one. So
it'll probably be Jamal Adams.
Boy.
It'll probably be Jamal.
Now it will, but I'm leaning. Yeah. I still like the Quandre pick. I still like the Quandre. Quandre's a little more healthier, I think, than Jamal is right now. I know Jamal's coming off he had the finger and wrist thing again during the preseason that kind of kept him out a little bit. So I believe that Quandre's 100% good. So we'll see.
It'll probably, this is probably what'll happen is it'll be a tip 6 from Shelby Harris for a touchdown.
Oh, we're getting into it now. Tip 6. Shelby gets one on
gets his own tip
and
just marches it on down. He's pretty athletic. He's not a slow dude at all. I mean, he can run. So, it was surprising to me to see his size, especially playing on the line, but he's quick. You never know. Call whatever you want, right?
Love it. Hey man, like I said, we can get out of here. Anything else you want to touch on before we roll out there, buddy?
No, let's just go Hawks.
Go Hawks for sure. Monday Night Football. Everybody tune in. This was a Sports Fix with Stix and Nos Big Homie, who is anonymous at this point, but we do have the original R.W. Rich Warnick. Thank you very much, brother, for coming on. We appreciate you coming on. And again, won't be the last time you hear from him or see him. He'll be on here again, I'm sure. We got a long season ahead, plenty of opportunity. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review on whatever favorite podcast platform you listen to. Go to thisisfunner.com for more podcasts and online content. Grab some merch while you're there from the Funner family. Check us out on YouTube. If you're not watching right now, we're on YouTube as well. So hit that smash button. Or smash that like button. Hit that smash button. This is Super Mario.
Yeah, I know. Smash it, get a power up. Hey, and if you guys are interested in sports card breaks, look up Colorado Cardboard Kings. Got a YouTube channel out there. So
yes, Colorado Cardboard Kings, baby.
That's
Check it out as well. That's Rich's channel, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were hot and heavy for a while until December. Got a little busy, but we've got probably 40 videos in the backlog we gotta put on there. So
hey, peep them out. Nothing wrong with that. Check it out as well. Thank you all for listening. Much appreciation to you, Rich, as well.
Hey, brother, appreciate it.
We'll talk again soon. And thank you all for listening. We appreciate y'all.
All right.
Take care, bro. We'll talk soon.
All right, thanks.
Yep, later.
That was Sports Fix with Stix. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. If you want to join the show, use the hashtag StixandSports.
Winners don't make excuses.